I spent 3 years developing recipes for my best friend's milk tea shop. Tianjin, from her very first hit to every seasonal launch, they were all mine. She grew from a single tiny store to a local chain of 4, with lines around the block every time she dropped something new. Customers raved. This place just tastes different from everywhere else. Then her new business partner flipped through the recipe cards I'd made for her and said, "All this stuff is all over the internet. You're paying her for this. She's just copying tutorials off social media and charging you for the information gap. For stuff like this, you're still spending money. Are you out of your mind?" My best friend hesitated for 3 seconds, then turned to me. Maybe we should just handle the recipes ourselves from now on. I looked into her eyes. Sure. My name is Jiang Wan. I graduated with a degree in food science and spent 4 years working as an applications engineer at a flavor and fragrance company. 3 years ago, my best friend Song Kaiyan took her entire savings and opened her first milk tea shop. 20 square meters, tucked into a back alley near a university campus. The menu had 5 or 6 basic drinks, all made with off-Gen shelf supplier formulas. Gen standard syrups, standard fruit purees, standard creamer. It tasted exactly like the 30 other milk tea shops on the same street. After a month, she was selling fewer than 30 cups a day. She was on the verge of tears when she called me. "Jiang Wan, you're in the industry, right? Help me figure something out. Can we make the flavor stand out somehow?" I went to her shop and tried everything. Genjin, she was right. It was indistinguishable from the competition. Nothing memorable at all. That weekend, I went to my lab and formulated 3 new drinks. The first was a jasmine milk green tea. Jinjan, but I blended a touch of white peach oolong into the tea base with the ratio calibrated down to Lindern's Reams. Chirians, a Kolumist einen Yun Fleischbäckchen. It was a flavor that didn't exist on the market. The second was a taro series. Jinjian, I modified the steaming time and temperature for the taro, dropping from Yal degrees Celsius to Yaling Ba and slow Jian steaming for 40 minutes. The texture went from coarse and grainy to silky smooth, like ice cream. The third was a mango pomelo sago. Jinjin I replaced the standard mango jam with fresh mango puree combined with sea salt, eliminating the industrial sweetness of processed jam. All 3 hit the menu, and within 2 weeks, they were the shop's signature items. People started posting about the shop spontaneously on social media. Why does this milk tea taste so different from everywhere else? What are they putting in this? Kong Qian threw her arms around me. "Jiang Zhan, you're my lucky charm." From then on, every seasonal launch was mine. 3 to 4 new products per quarter, from R&D to taste testing, to the final recipe card, Jinjan all me. Each recipe card included ingredient ratios precise to the gram, procedural steps timed to the second, water temperatures precise to the degree, and my compensation? 500 yuan per quarter for recipe development. 500. At my company, a single beverage formula developed for a brand starts at 30,000. But she was my best friend. I never argued over 3 years. Songqian's shops grew from 1 to 4. 1 near the university, 1 in the Wanda Plaza Mall, 1 in the high-speed rail station shopping district, 1 on the downtown pedestrian street. Annual revenue passed 3 million yuan. Every time a new location opened, she'd post on social media. Content photos of the line out the door, videos of the register printing receipts. The caption was always another one, "Grateful for everyone who supports me." But she never in any public setting mentioned that Jiang Wan was the one behind the recipes. When reporters interviewed her, she said, "Our team develops everything in Jian House." When customers asked how she made her flavors, she said, "Proprietary secret recipe." When potential franchise came to talk, she said, "Core technology mode." Core technology mode. That was me. But she never said so. And I never minded. I had a real job. I didn't depend on that 500 yuan. I helped her purely because of our 10-year friendship. Then her new business partner arrived. His name was Xu Ming. Song Jian met him in an entrepreneur kisk course where he was a mentor. 30, Jian 5 years old, always going on about synergy and underlying logic and lean optimization. He invested 500,000 yuan and took a 30% stake. The first thing he did was audit the cost structure. He went through every line of Song Qian's expenses and stopped at recipe development fee. 500 per quarter? 2,000 a year? You're paying someone to mix milk tea recipes? Song Qian explained. She's my best friend. She does food R&D. She's very professional. Professional? Zhu Ming laughed. He opened a social media app and searched a few keywords. Jinjin milk tea recipes revealed. DIY milk tea tutorial. Jasmine milk green tea recipe. Hundreds of posts popped up. See, these recipes are all over the internet. Your friend is just making minor tweaks based on what's out there. She's charging you for an information gap, nothing more. 2,000 a year for recipes you can find online for free? You're being played. He flipped through the recipe cards I'd written. This jasmine milk green tea blending white peach oolong into the base. Jan, isn't that something people teach online? And this taro, steaming at Yaoling Ba degrees. Jan, what milk tea maker doesn't know how to steam taro? Then he dropped his trump card. And have you considered this? You've handed all your recipes to an outsider. That's your single biggest risk. What if she quits one day or sells your recipes to a competitor? You need to keep your core assets in Den House. Song Qian was convinced. I knew, because the next day when she called, her tone was different. Jinwan? I talked it over with Ming Zhengye, and we think we should handle the recipes in Jane House from now on. No need to keep bothering you. You're busy too, right? I was quiet for 2 seconds. Sure. And the existing recipes, they're all on the recipe cards. You have them. Right. Her voice brightened, as if a weight had been lifted. Great. Thanks so much, Jiangwan. These 3 years really meant a lot. Let me take you out for dinner sometime. Sometime. 3 years of friendship and expertise, settled with a vague sometime dinner. I said nothing and hung up. I pulled the summer prototype I'd been testing on my workbench down the sink. It was Lychee's Sparkling Series. I'd spent 2 weeks perfecting it. It was supposed to launch next month. Not anymore. For the next month, I didn't reach out to Song Qian. She didn't contact me either. Xu Ming, however, added me on WeChat, politely saying, we can always collaborate in the future. Jin, which really meant, we'll do just fine without you. I saw him posting on social media. Jinjin photos of himself with Song Qian's staff at the prep counter, surrounded by ingredients, captioned, back to basics. Product development must be done in Gen House. Step 1 of lean optimization. Cut unnecessary outsourcing. Unnecessary outsourcing. Got it. I threw myself into my actual job. My company had just signed a deal with a national chain of modern tea shops. I was leading their summer product line flavor development. The workload doubled, perfectly filling the time I used to give Song Jian. 2 months later, Song Jian's summer lineup dropped. I found out on social media. 3 new products. Jian Peachy Oolong, Cocoa Jian Mango, Watermelon Slush. I scrolled through the comments. That's it? No different from the budget chains. Wasn't this place supposed to have great flavors? This launch is so generic. The peachy oolong is just a standard supplier formula. You can get this anywhere. What happened to that amazing jasmine milk green tea? It's gone again? I've been wanting to say this for a while. Did this place change recipe developers? It feels like a completely different shop. I read through the comments, swiping past them one by one. No surprise at all. Ming assumed recipes were just a matter of search online and tweak a little. He didn't understand that a great flavor formula requires knowledge of the ingredient supply chain, which jasmine tea has been scented how many times, which region's mangoes have the optimal sugar, teach and acid ratio for beverages, which brand of cream holds flavor best after whipping, and judgment of taste balance. Sweetness, acidity, aroma, layering, mouthfeel, gentient. It's not about how many grams of sugar to add. It's about understanding how human taste buds perceive layers. Control of production consistency. Scaling a formula from the lab bench to the shop because every variable that could go wrong has been locked down. Jianjian water temperature, extraction time, stirring speed, assembly sequence. None of that was on the recipe cards. The recipe card was the result, not the process. It's like having the recipe for a dish, but not understanding why you add salt at this step and not that one. Jianjian, you'll never replicate the original flavor. But that was no longer my problem. By the third month, Songjian's numbers collapsed. Her rating on the review platform dropped from Sitterbot to Sitterwoo. Monthly revenue across all 4 stores fell 20%. The university location took the worst hit. Jianjian college students are the pickiest and most fickle. The moment your flavor stops being special, they move on. It wasn't just the new products tanking. Jianjian, even the old favorites started having problems. Jiming's first lean optimization move was switching ingredient suppliers. Same white peach oolong fragments, 30% cheaper from this vendor. Why pay more? What he didn't know was why I'd specified that particular supplier. Jianjian, their roasting level was exactly right. 1 degree darker would taste burnt and bitter. 1 degree lighter would taste like nothing. After the switch, the signature jasmine milk green tea changed. Customers couldn't pinpoint what was different. They just knew Jianjian, not as good as before. It feels ordinary now, not worth a special trip anymore. They simply stopped coming. Quietly. That's the cruel truth about flavor development. When it's good, nobody knows why it's good. When it's bad, nobody knows why it's bad. People just quietly stop coming. And I, Jianjian, right at that moment. Jean did something everyone noticed. The national chain brand I was working with launched its summer line. One of the new drinks, lychee, sparkling jasmine. It was the series I'd spent 2 weeks developing for Song Jian. Jianjian, the one I poured down the sink. I region optimized the process for large gin scale production and dialed in the lychee's crisp sweetness against jasmine's floral notes to the perfect ratio. In its first week on the market, it sold 800,000 cups nationwide. Social media was flooded with reviews and checked JN videos. The brand's website noted, this season's new product was led by our senior flavor engineer, MS Zhongwan. Our mutual friend, Su Glielman, screenshotted this and sent it to Song Jian. Song Qian didn't reply. 4th month. Song Qian's mall location closed. Jianjian rent couldn't cover costs. The train station shop was bleeding money too, down from 4 stores to 2. One night at 11, she called, Jiangguan. Yeah, can you come back? Name your price. I leaned back in my chair. Song Qian, you have the recipe cards, don't you? Just follow them. Your partner said so himself. Jianjian, everything's on the internet. She went silent. I tried. After we switched suppliers, the flavor's been off. Then switch back. We can't. The original supplier signed an exclusive supply agreement. I paused, Signed by whom? Most likely another brand. Good tea leaf suppliers are limited in number and production capacity. Jinjin, when you drop them, someone else picks them up. Then I can't help you. Jungyeon, I'm not being petty. The recipe cards you have are already incomplete. Guidingkra, the ingredients are gone, and the adjustments are in my head, not on paper. You chose to believe it's all online. So go ahead and search the internet and see if you can find your way back. The phone was quiet for a long time. Then she said, I'm sorry. I said, I know. But there's no going back. I hung up. I left my corporate job and started my own flavor development studio. I specialize in custom recipe work for small and mid-sized tea brands, Jinjin 30,000 per product series, including flavor design in series teas range. In my first month, I signed 6 clients. One of them was a new milk tea shop that had just opened on Songgyeon Street. The owner's name was Lin Ji. When she found me, she said one thing. Miss John, recipes are the soul of a brand. That's not where you cut costs. 3 words. Din, don't cut costs. Ongyeon had never said that. I developed 6 core products for Lin Ji's shop. Slow Mist. One of them, a gardenia oolong, became the local social media sensation in its first week. Someone commented, it's right next door to XX, but they're not even in the same league. XX was Song Kweon's shop. Her university location's daily sales dropped another 15% that month. From the hottest local milk tea to just another milk tea shop. Not losing money, but no more lines either. Fading into the crowd. 6 months later, my studio was stable, Jinjin over a dozen brand clients, monthly income triple my old salary. One afternoon, I ran into Song Chien outside the Slow Mist shop. She'd lost weight. She looked tired. Jiang Wan. Hey. She looked at the Slow Mist sign. Then at me. Are you doing well? Very. She nodded. I bought Ming Janjiao. Paid a penalty to get him to leave. I've thought about it a lot. Was I incredibly stupid back then? Not stupid, I said. You just didn't know how much what you had was worth. Or maybe you did, but you didn't want to admit it. Because once you admitted it was valuable, you couldn't justify paying me only 500. So, you chose the most convenient explanation. Denjin, it's all online. It's worthless. She lowered her head. Wind blew through the plain tree leaves along the street. My 2 remaining stores, can they be saved? She asked quietly. Yes, I said, through a commercial partnership, signed, contract, 30,000 per series. Same as all my other clients. She gave a bitter smile. 30,000. Before, it was 2,000 a year for 4 series, 16 products total. Now it's 30,000 per series, 4 products. That's market rate. The old price was never normal. Tianjin, I was subsidizing you. She stood there for a while. Let me think about it. Sure. I turned and went into Slow Mist. Lin Ji was behind the counter, testing a new product I'd just formulated. MZ, this is incredible. It'll be a hit for sure. I smiled. Through the window, Song Queen was still standing across the street watching. 3 years ago, when she hugged me and called me her lucky charm, she never imagined it would come to this. But nothing in this world is cheaper than the way things used to be. My craft, my expertise, my experience. Jinjin, every second of it now has a price. No bargaining, no discounts, no freebies. Song Qian didn't come to me. But Niu Ming did. After Song Qian bought him out, he didn't go quietly. End plake. He took his buyout money and invested in another milk tea brand. Shenzhen, directly across from Song Qian's pedestrian street location. He named it
tea, delicious.
What I didn't expect was that he'd poached 2 of Song Qian's veteran employees. Dian's staff, who'd been with her for 2 years.
These 2 had assisted me through countless product calibrations. They didn't understand the science, but their hands knew the techniques.
That was exactly what Xiuming wanted. He found me at a coffee shop, wearing his perpetual dark blue polo, legs crossed as he sat across from me. MS Zhang, I'll get straight to the point. Jian, I want you to do recipe development for tea. Jianlicious. 50,000 per series. More than your current rate.
I looked at him. Why come to me? I thought you said everything was on the internet.
He laughed, Dian, a brazenly candid laugh. Mrs. Xiao, business is business. Back then, I was helping Song Qian save money. When I'm the one spending, I know exactly where to invest.
You're smart. I'm smart. Let's skip the pleasantries. 6 core products.
300,000 plus 5% revenue share. Long-term partnership. 300,000 plus revenue share. That was the largest single quote my studio had ever received.
I took a sip of coffee. Xiuming, you opened your shop directly across from Song Qian's.
You poached her staff, and now you want to use the flavor philosophy I developed for her to crush her. You think I'd take that job? His eyes flickered. I thought you and she had already, Jian. Already what? You're not working with her anymore, are you? My decision not to help her is my business, but I won't become the weapon used against her either. I stood up. One more thing. The recipes I developed for Song Qian have no written intellectual property assignment. Under industry convention, original formulas belong to the developer. If you have those 2 employees replicating my production processes, I can sue. The smile froze on Xiuming's face. Come on, don't be so harsh, Miss Zhang. I'll see myself out. I walked out of the coffee shop and sent Su Xiaoman a message. Pass this along to Song Qian. Jiang Xiuming opened tea, Jianlicious across from her pedestrian street store. He poached 2 of her senior employees. She should be aware.
Su Xiaoman replied instantly. Are you kidding me? This guy is truly awful. Yeah. Just give her a heads. Chin up. Don't say it came from me.
Why not? I didn't answer. Because I couldn't explain it clearly. Not helping her, but not wanting to watch her get stabbed in the back either.
I suppose that's the last remaining residue of a 10-year friendship.
Without a good developer, tea, Jianlicious, first month relied entirely on loss, Jian-liter pricing, Jian-jent, 2 cups for 10 yuan, buy, Jian-1, Jian-jit, Jian-1, Jian-free, double value on stored credit. The flavor? Those 2 veteran employees could operate the equipment, but they were just blindly copying the old procedures.
Different ingredients, different equipment, even different water quality. Jian, the results looked right, but tasted wrong. If you said, flavor's mediocre, but it's cheap, tastes like a knockoff.
I feel like I've had this somewhere before.
Low prices can get people through the door, but they can't make them stay.
So, Chin's pedestrian street location took a bit of a hit. Jianjun some bargain. Jin hunting customers drifted over. But those customers were never the loyal ones anyway. It was something much bigger that changed the game entirely.
3 months in, Xiuming couldn't sit still anymore.
The lost Jian-liter budget was burned through. Stored credit was being consumed faster than projected Jianjent because repeat purchase rates were abysmal. People who'd loaded money used it 2 or 3 times, decided it was nothing special, and never came back. So, he started playing dirty. First, he bought fake reviews on the platform. Jianjin 5 Jant star posts using template language. Great taste, nice on, highly recommend, blatantly fake. Then he planted bad reviews on Songguyan's shop listing. Not as good as the place across the street, getting worse and worse, overpriced for the quality.
Even more outrageous, he spread rumors in local food blogger groups, claiming Song Qian's recipes were trade secrets leaked by former employees he'd hired. Jian Jian flipping the story completely backwards. Su Qiaomen was furious. She sent me screenshots. Is this guy insane?
He's the one who poached Song Qian's staff. I looked at the screenshots, perfectly calm. Because I knew. Tianjin, this kind of scheme has a shelf life of about 3 months. Sure enough, first, the platform's algorithm flagged the suspicious reviews and collapsed 60% of Tijin's licious 5G star ratings. The store score plunged from Sidersen to Senderlu. Then Song Qian successfully reported the fake negative reviews. The platform removed them all and gave her shop a Merchant Dispute 1 badge. Finally, someone in the blogger group recorded Xuming's rumor, Jen spreading and sent it to a local food blogger with a strong sense of justice. He made a video titled, "Exposing the Most Disgusting Move in the Local Milk Tea Scene, Stealing Employees and Playing the Victim." The video hit 500,000 views in 3 days. Comments were unanimous. This tea Jinlicious owner has zero integrity.
Never going there again. Blocked.
Teal Jinlicious daily revenue fell from over 3,000 at launch to under 806. By the 4th month, Xuming couldn't hold on. Goes to show Dinton in business integrity is the first. Business integrity is the first barrier to entry. That comment got the most likes. When I saw it, I thought Jin Denite entirely right. Integrity is the barrier to entry, but professional capability is the ceiling.
Xu Ming had neither, so he never even got through the door. I got a phone call from Mountain Tea, Tianjin, a modern tea brand in the middle of a national expansion. Currently 170 locations, with a goal of 300 by year's end. Their product director was Zhou Shen, a veteran with more than a decade in the industry.
Jiang Wan, I have a major project I'd like to discuss. What kind of project? We're launching an entirely new product line, Gen City Flavor Series. For every new city we enter, we'll create one drink available only in that city, tied to local flavor ingredients and culinary traditions. We need a top Shintia flavor developer as our chief consultant. You were the first person I thought of.
The scope of this project: 1 exclusive flavor per city, full pipeline from ingredient selection to formula development to production calibration. 20 new cities planned for the first year. 20 city Jian exclusive products.
I won't mention the fee. It wouldn't be polite. Jian, it was 500 times the 6,000 yuan total Song Qian had paid me over 3 years.
I took the job. The day we signed the contract, Zhou Shen said something that stuck with me.
Jiang Wan, do you know why I came to you and not someone else? Why? Because I saw the work you did for that local milk tea brand. Joint and Slow Mist. A small brand, 6 products, and every single one had its own distinct flavor logic.
Not just swapping out ingredients and calling it new. You were actually designing.
Someone who can make a small brand feel premium will only be more powerful with a major one. I didn't say anything, but I thought Jendi, if Songyan had seen my work the same way 3 years ago, this story would have gone very differently.
But it doesn't matter now. If anything, I'm grateful. She set me free. Mountain Tea's City Flavor Series debuted right here in our city.
I spent 2 weeks scouring local ingredients. I found a family Gen-run osmanthus sugar workshop that had been operating for 40 years, using golden osmanthus from the old Manjulong district. Jin traditional sugar gin preserved processing. The floral aroma was intense but sweet without being cloying. Using this as the foundation, I designed a drink called Osmanthus Rain, Floating Light. Jin osmanthus syrup, paired with cold, Jin brewed tea guanyin, topped with a thin layer of mint cream. The first sip delivers the floral sweetness, then the tea base is gentle bitterness, finishing with mint's cool clarity. 3 layers, all unfolding on the palate within 5 seconds. That evening, I sent the final recipe card to Zhou Shen. He replied with one word: perfection. On launch day, all 3 mountain tea locations in the city were packed. #1 on the local trending page. Social media lit up. I'd wait 40 minutes for this osmanthus rain.
How is a city exclusive this good? Please, make a nationwide
20 4,000 cups sold in 3 days, and a block away Songyan's shop sat quiet. I hadn't targeted her. I'd even specifically suggested to Zhou Shen that we avoid any retail space within 200 meters of her shop. But the market flows. Consumers flow. When there's a drink 3 kilometers away that people will wait an hour for, who's gonna walk into a shop that's merely okay? Songyan's university location dropped from 80 cups a day to 49.
The pedestrian street shop was slightly better, but started losing money too.
She posted on social media, "After more than 3 years of milk tea, this is the first time I've thought about whether to keep going." Thinking it over, the photo showed her empty shop floor. 3 in the afternoon, not a single customer. I looked at it for a long time, then swiped away. By the time the Mountain Tea Project reached its 3rd city, Su Jiaoman invited me to dinner. The moment we sat down, she said, "Song Qian's pedestrian street shop closed too." She's down to just the university location, not making money, not losing it, just hanging on. I picked up a bite of food and said nothing. She asked me to ask you. Su Jiaoman looked at me carefully.
Would you be willing to have dinner? Her treat. No talk about recipes or business,
Just catching up. She said she wants to apologize in person, a real proper apology. I set down my chopsticks. She doesn't need to apologize to me. "So will you go? Tell her. For me, Jian." I thought for a moment.
The apology received. If she needs help with something in the future, she can reach out normally.
"But dinner's not necessary." Su Xiaoman sighed. "Are you still angry?" "No, I'm really not." "Then why won't you see her?" I looked out the window. How do I explain this? It wasn't anger over the "it's all online" comment. It wasn't anger over the 500 yuan. It was the 3 seconds she hesitated. After Ming said she's just copying from the internet, Song Qian hesitated for 3 seconds. 3 seconds. 3 years of working side by side. 3 years of watching me develop each product from scratch. 3 years of her tasting every new drink and exclaiming, "How is this so good?"
3 seconds. Overwritten by a single sentence from a stranger.
What does that tell you? It tells you she never truly understood what I was doing. She enjoyed the results, but never once valued the process. So when someone told her the process isn't worth anything, she had no resistance at all. It's not that she's a bad person. It's that the gap in understanding between us was too wide. And that gap, Jin, that's the crack that can never truly be mended.
I clinked glasses with Su Jiaoman. Tell her I'm doing really well. Honestly.
3 more months passed. Mountain Tea's City Flavor series had launched 8 City Jin exclusive products, each one igniting social media in its respective city. The brand did a presentation at an industry forum. One slide read, "City Flavor Series Chief Conspira, Tianjit Wan Flavor Lab." Over 200 tea brand founders and product directors sat in the audience. My phone blew up. Partnership inquiries went from 3 or 4 a week to more than a dozen a day. I had no choice but to build a team. Jianjian and I hired 2 food science grad students as assistants and contracted 3 part-time ingredient quality control specialists. The studio grew from 1 room to 3. The name was made official: Evening Wind Lab. One day, while tidying up old things, I found the very first recipe card I'd written for Songjian. Jasmine milk green tea, base blended with white peach oolong fragments, 120 grams. The edges of the paper were curled. Songjian's handwriting was still on it. Zhenjian. She'd drawn a smiley face in red pen and written, Wan. Gent. Wan is the best. I stared at that smiley face for a long time. Then I put the recipe card back in the drawer. I didn't throw it away, and I didn't think too much about it. Some things don't need a conclusion. It just exists. And proof that I once helped someone with genuine sincerity, and proof that someone was once genuinely happy because of it. It's just that everything afterward proved that when sincerity meets sincerity, without respect to hold it together, it will eventually fall apart. Around that time, an industry magazine came to interview me. The reporter asked, Miss Zhang, what was the catalyst for your transition from corporate R&D to an independent studio? I thought about it. I didn't mention Songqian's name. I just said, I used to develop recipes for a friend for several years. Eventually, the other party decided the work wasn't that valuable, and we stopped collaborating. But that experience taught me something important. Jinjin, rather than passively waiting for others to recognize your value, it's better to set your own price. When your value is defined by you, you'll never be undervalued again. The reporter followed up. What happened to that friend? She's doing her own thing, I said. I wish her well. At year's end, the local Chamber of Commerce held an annual Food and Beverage Awards ceremony. I went on stage to accept an award for Flavor Innovator of the Year. As I stepped down, I spotted Song Qian in the audience. She was sitting in the very last row in the corner, wearing that white sweatshirt she always used to wear, hair in a ponytail. When she saw me looking, she gave me a small smile and a quiet round of applause. T didn't come over to toot expiting. Nor presumptuous. She didn't come over to talk. I nodded at her. After the event, I ran into her in the parking lot. She was unlocking her helmet on an electric scooter. Congratulations, she said. Thank you. Your university location, Zhenjian. I paused. How's it going? It's okay, she smiled. I stopped hiring outside developers. I've been fumbling along on my own. Came up with 2 new products. They're not blockbusters, but the regulars keep coming back. I took a 3G-month tea sommelier course and did a short food science workshop. Her voice was calmer now, no longer carrying that old urgency, taking it slow. I depended on you. Too much before that wasn't fair. Jin, not to you, and not to me. I looked at her. That was probably the most comforting thing she'd said to me in 3 years. Not, I'm sorry. Not, please come back. But, Jianjian, I'm growing on my own. Good luck, I said. You too. She put on her helmet and rode off into the night on her electric scooter. The taillight blinked, growing smaller and dimmer in the distance. I stood there watching for a while. The best ending in this world isn't broken pieces glued back together. It's 2 people becoming whole on their own. I pulled open the car door and got in. My phone buzzed with a message. From Zhouzhen. Zhang Wan. Next year we're expanding city flavor to 30 cities. Also, headquarters wants to talk about a brand collaboration. Jianjian, would you be interested in launching your own product line? My own product line. With my name on it. I smiled and typed back 2 words. Let's talk. I started the car and merged into the river of city lights.